That grass looks greener. If you have more cards in your deck than your opponent does, send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard so you have the same number of cards in the deck as your opponent. As you guys know, this card is coming out in Raging Tempest in just another week or so, and a lot of people are planning to use it in Infernoids and, zombies, Lightsworns, but here are 5 obscure deck ideas that I had that you might want to try this card out in. Will it be incredibly broken? Will it be absolute trash? No idea, but let's hop in. And at the end of the video, I want you guys to leave your own suggestions for cards that grass looks greener could go in. Let's get started. Deck 1, Burning Abyss, PK Fire. So you guys probably already saw this coming. This deck has been meta relevant for a really long time, and only recently has the deck finally kind of started to fade away a bit, but this card could be the thing that they need to make some sort of a resurgence. I mean, when you think about it, you could run a 60 card Burning Abyss deck. There's really no reason you couldn't. There are plenty of Phantom Knight monsters and plenty of Burning Abyss monsters, and if you triple up on a lot of them, then it's easy to run a 60 card deck that you need to use that grass. And it's really great because, I mean, this sends all your Burning Abyss monsters, which all get crazy effects, and all your Phantom Knight monsters you can banish from the graveyard to get more effects. It just sends loads of them to the grave, like, just simple, easy, just like that. And I mean, Burning Abyss even has the advantage of, like, a lot of, and Phantom Knights too, the advantage of a lot of their spells and traps even having similar effects where, when they're sent to the grave or when they're in the grave, they're able to banish to get certain kinds of effects. So I really think that this is kind of a no-brainer. I mean, you could even, this isn't in the list, but you could even go with stuff like Shaddolls if you want to. In fact, it kind of reminds me of the whole Burning Abyss Shaddol hybrids that popped up back in like 2014, early 2015. Next is Chaos Dragons. So I guess this is sort of similar to Lightsworns, but really, Chaos Dragons have always been an existing deck, Light Pulsar Dragon, Dark Flare Dragon, and recently they've got like, Black Dragon, White Dragon, Collapse Serpent, and the other one, Wyver Burster. But the thing is, Chaos Dragons have honestly just typically had the problem of not being able to get stuff in the grave fast enough. I mean, things like Card Trooper really just don't cut it, and you can't really afford to take so many negs with slow trap cards like, Needlebug Nest and that sort of thing. I mean, Raiden's somewhat solved the problem, but honestly, that grass would be incredible because if you can, just draw it, then you're usually able to send about 20 cards from your deck to the grave. So easy setup for all your Light Pulsar plays, making it really easy to set up your Eclipse Wyverns and grab Red MDs. I guess the only real problem with this is just that because you have to run 60 cards, the deck might see some consistency issues that other decks wouldn't. But there are plenty of good light and dark monsters that have good graveyard effects that you can always just cram in, so this might be worth experimenting with. Next one is Gem Knight. So this actually came to mind when I was just looking at this card for the first time with the twins, because Alex plays Gem Knights, and we were just thinking, hey, what if this card just got thrown into Gem Knights? And it might sound like a horrible idea, but when you think about it, Gem Knights have loads, and I mean loads, of just regular random monsters that never really get used in competitive builds. But the thing is, because they've got so many, they can easily run like, 2-3 copies of each if they want to quickly get to that 60 card, golden amount that is so important with running this card. And what's also really great is that Gem Knight Fusion, the spell that they use for all their plays, can, like when it's in the graveyard, you can banish a Gem Knight monster from your graveyard to add it back to your hand. So this means that when you mill your, say, 20 or so cards with that grass, you're able to instantly get back any Gem Knight Fusion that you sent to the grave with it, and you've got plenty of Gem Knights in the grave, so you can continue to do that. So it might be a fast way to set up plays. Plus, because so many of the Gem Knights are normal monsters, you could even use, cards like Dark Factor of Mass Production to quickly get them back. So I think it could be a really fun strategy. Then there's Skull Servants, which I guess we're going to consider separate from zombies for the sake of this video. Skull Servants, obviously, they are zombies. They will work with your Mizuki and, Zombie Master and all those cards, Book of Life or whatever. But what's really fun about these guys is that King of the Skull Servants gets 1,000 attack for every Skull Servant in your grave, and there are plenty of cards that are considered Skull Servant in the graveyard now. I mean, ever since the white archetype, WIGHT archetype became a thing, it's really, there are like plenty of them. I think they actually get a new one in the next set. I'm not 100% sure. You'd have to ask YuGiOh, he would know. But anyway, yeah, so this deck would be great. I mean, you just run 3 copies of every Skull Servant, and, you've got, that's all you really need. I mean, like, it's great, and then you just use that grass, and when you mill, like, 10 or so Skull Servants to the grave, you've got a huge King of the Skull Servants, and if you accidentally mill any of those, it's really easy to bring it back from Mizuki or Zombie Master, so honestly, it just sounds like a match made in heaven. And the last one is one of my favorite recent picks, and that's Crystron's. So it's a deck that I'm actually building. If you guys want me to do a deck profile of it, let me know. But, well, when the new support comes out in another week or so. But yeah, Crystons are a lot of fun, but what I was finding when I played them is that it's sometimes tough to actually get them in the graveyard, but they all have similar effects to Phantom Knights in that you can, banish them from your grave to search a monster or a spell or trap or whatever from your deck. And so I feel like with something like that, Grass Looks Greener, you could actually just easily send a lot of them to the graveyard and have them all set up. Now, I think the only problem with this is really just that it's tough to get to that 60 card amount, but I'm not really sure. I mean, I'm going to experiment around with it. Like I said, this video is kind of just more obscure picks. It's experimentation. So I'll see if it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't, but that's the fun of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the fact that you get to try. Anyways, that concludes this list. These are some decks that Grass Looks Greener might be really good in, but let's, be honest here. There are dozens, and I mean dozens of decks that could probably use this card. And so, in the comments, I want you guys to let me know what decks are you going to try this card out in. Obviously, it's going to be a secret rare, which is actually really unfortunate because it means that early on, a lot of people aren't going to really get to play around with this card, but I think that it adds loads of, diversity to deck building, really kind of flips the conventions in their head because, you have to run 60 cards. I think that's really cool. Let me know in the comments what you're going to use this card with, and also, I'm going to make a similar video to this. I want to make one that's decks that you can use Ties of the Brethren in, because I think that's a card that hasn't been completely utilized yet, and also Totally Awesome, which although it's kind of older now, still want to do that. So if you guys want to see those videos, be sure to subscribe. They'll be coming out probably tomorrow and then the next day. So yeah, that's it. Subscribe, follow me on social media, and I will catch you guys in the next one.